so I am drinking some kombucha. And we've been having discussions about this on the site this week. Hi, Laurie. And people have been asking what it is and where you get it from. So kombucha is a drink that is a live drink. So just like you have live yogurt or your sourdough bread is made with a live culture to begin with, kombucha is a live drink that is made using a live culture, or a mushroom for want of a better word, that sits on top of the drink and over a period of a couple of weeks turns it into something else. It's actually a very ancient drink and has been drunk in lots and lots of places. And what it produces is something that is a bit vinegary, but has lots of live things, so it's good for your digestion, all that sort of stuff. And for me, it tastes a bit more like a non-alcoholic scrumpy cider. And I find that bought ones rather than my own brew, because I have tried, works better. The bought ones taste a lot nicer and cleaner and less vinegary than the ones that I made. But I now have loads of these bottles, and I have kombucha in the evening with my meal. I quite like it because it feels, again, not sugary, not sweet, even though actually technically it's sweetened green tea. But I find it's just a totally different taste. So in terms of getting a variety of drinks to take me through the day and into the evening, to feel like I'm having something that's doing me some good, something that isn't copious amounts of my tea, then you'll be pleased to know that this is a drink that I really like. Can't buy it in Holland and Barrett because they seem to be a bit crap at that, but you can buy it in Whole Foods, you can buy it online. Love kombucha and ucha kombucha are my favourites. There we are, Jules. So ucha kombucha is my favourite, actually. It does taste the most like cider. They seem to have got a very clean finish to it. This one, Love kombucha, is a bit cloudier. I tend to go for the originals and not the flavoured, but the flavoured ones are all really good. Kombucha is brilliant for flavouring. But try it, and do try slightly different brands, because they do taste slightly different and do taste slightly different flavours, because again, they're slightly different. So that's what I'm drinking today, and because I'm really classy, I'm drinking it from the bottle. And there's often little bits at the bottom. They're live animals, live creatures, but they make me perfect. So what am I to moan about? So for those of you just joining in, that's my view of kombucha. You can look back at it later, but ask me any questions. I know it comes up often. This week, I thought I would talk about relapse, because actually a few people have come on this week and said, oh, I'd got to 11 weeks and now I've just had loads of wine. Or I've just managed to, I've done a week and then I find myself with a bottle of wine in my hand. I don't know how that happened. Or I tried moderating after a long period of time. I know Susie's done this and then found I've been drinking a beer every evening. What does all this mean? I'm scared. I'm scared that you're going to relapse and that this bit of moderation isn't really working, or scared that you're never going to be able to get back on the wagon, or scared that you're a complete failure and never be able to manage to do this. And I think it's really understandable, and it's okay. It's normal. It's normal to be in a place where you're 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forwards, 1 step back. That's not unusual. And I want you just to reflect a little bit on the fact that drinking isn't this linear thing. If you think about your history with alcohol, and if you were like me, I started when I was 14. I didn't start off drinking bottles of wine in front of the TV every night. I started off one night at the weekend drinking underage in my pub. And then when I went to university, I probably drank more often. But actually, I don't ever, I didn't drink excessively unless it was the weekend. And then it was some really cheap, awful stuff. And then I got my first jobs and all of that changed. My relationship with alcohol has never, from one year to the next, I can't point to it and say this was an escalation that went like this, or this was what my drinking habits were, or I was always a big drinker. And I do think that it's worth reflecting on that, because the way that you change your drinking and become a non-drinker is also as jaggedy a line. It isn't perfect, and you're not going to get this perfect line that says I was a drinker and now I'm not not a drinker. Da-da, magic. Because that's not how your drinking happened in the first place. And there are lots of things that would have triggered your drinking over the years. It wouldn't have just been one thing, but it might have been one or two things that brought you to the stage where you realise you can't drink again, or you want to take a big break, or you want to really get control of moderation. So first of all, I want you to stop and pause and maybe think a little bit about your history of drinking and what you think might have brought you to where you are now. So just before I gave up, there was various things that brought me to a stage of my drinking where I was. I was in a job where no one cared if I turned up, which is really bad for me. I was feeling undervalued and underloved and really not sure what to do with myself. This wasn't where I expected my career to be growing. So it crept up really easily because I was able to sneak off for boozy lunches. But it would be wrong to say I wasn't a big drinker before that, because I was. I was certainly able to pack away the wine. I don't have family to go home for. It was easy for me to go for drinks after work. I love being with people, so I'm very social. So it was really easy for my alcohol consumption to increase. I am my father's daughter. But it began to go from being a really heavy social drinker to being somebody who I felt like I was testing myself to see what point I would break at. It felt like it was a bit of, I was going through a bit of self-harm, really, knowing that I was doing something that was damaging me and pushing it as far as I could, and therefore doing silly things like drinking the whole of a weekend, and then realising on the Monday that I felt really, really awful, or drinking loads and seeing if I could actually get to work the following day. Was anybody going to challenge me? Was anybody going to bring this up? Who was going to stop me? Because I clearly couldn't stop myself. In some ways, it felt like it was a bit of self-harm and a bit of a cry for help and a challenge out to the world, as well as a sort of a point in time in the different circumstances that I was in terms of work and other things. So it might be worth you thinking through some of those things that have brought you to where you are, because it won't just be one thing, and it won't be just one set of feelings. It won't just be one hangover that made you go, right, no, I'm giving up. For those of us on Club Soda, it's several hangovers and lots of self-esteem issues. Maybe write them down and think about your drinking history. So then you'll see that your non-drinking future can be just as complex, can be full of many ups and downs, and there'll be lots of curveballs that can really throw you off balance. And none of that's a surprise, is it? Because if it was so easy for you to drink loads, if it was so easy to find excuses to drink, then, you know, it's not going to be difficult in trying to build your non-drinking career to be knocked off course often. So think about your past, then start thinking about what that means for you in the future. And some of your past will tell you some things you need to do. I needed to get a new job, and I was in that vicious cycle of, I can't get a new job because I'm drinking too much, but if I don't get a new job, I'm not sure if I'll ever be able to stop drinking. And actually what happened is I got a secondment out of my job to do something that I was really passionate about. And I sat in a room, I got a job doing some work in theatre and arts, which I cannot tell you how passionate I am about the arts. And I sat in a room with some of the biggest theatre people in London with a raging hangover, thinking I must stink of booze, thinking, why am I blowing this opportunity that I've been given to get out of my job because I've got a secondment, doing something that I'm really enjoying, sat in a room with people that I really admire. Why am I blowing that by sitting here with a hangover and trying to string together a sentence to sound like I'm intelligent? What sort of an idiot am I? And so that was one of the things that made me realise that I really had to take it seriously. But that still took a few months of sitting in a room thinking, oh my God, do you think people notice? Do you think people realising that I'm actually completely rotting from the inside out with alcohol? So, but that's always useful for me to reflect on, because every time I remember wanting to get out of that job, being given an opportunity, feeling I was blowing that opportunity, I can focus very much on not wanting to blow the opportunities that are in front of me again. So for a start, that's really important. But the other thing that society is absolutely full of is the idea that You go on a diet, you become thin, that's success, that's perfection. You take some of those lovely pills that I brought from Neil's Yard Health Food that tell me that that will improve my memory, and by doing that I will become perfect. And if I don't become perfect, then that is failure. The important thing to remember is absolutely nobody is 100% perfect. We all have our up days, we all have our down days, we all sneak chocolate, we all do things that we don't want to do, we all feel ashamed by some of our behaviours. Nobody is perfect. So if you set yourself up to say, right, I'm not drinking for a year, 6 months, 2 months, 1 month, 100 days, and then you don't achieve that because you have one glass of wine, then the chances of you hitting the fuck it button because you've decided that's it, one drink, that's a complete fail, I can't do this, I have no willpower, la-di-la-di-la, means that you're just going to unravel all the work you've just done in pursuit of something that is not achievable. It's not achievable to be 100% perfect. This journey of you changing your drinking is just as up and down as it was when you were drinking. So instead of going, right, that's it, 3 months, and if I fall off the wagon, then I'm a failure, then you're setting yourself up to fail. And I don't want you to do that. I want you to set yourself up to be realistic and to realise that if you fall off the wagon, that's not a failure, that's something to learn from. That behind you, you've got 7 days, 30 days, 6 months, or a woman who I met this lunchtime, she had 10 years behind her and then she fell off the wagon. Those 10 years mean something, and they meant something when she tried to get back on the wagon again. And I will tell you her piece of advice shortly. But think about the success you've had. Don't consider a lapse a fail, but a way to learn, and then sit and dissect what it is that made you lapse. And that will be different for everyone. It could be a person, it could be a place, it could be a thing. That thing could be an emotion. That emotion can be tired, lonely, hungry. It doesn't take much for you to hit that fuck it button. It could be a person who's made you angry. Don't forget, we've got a massive inner critic here who's working very hard to stop us from achieving our goals. So it doesn't take a lot for that inner critic to win an argument with you. Oh, so-and-so was a bit of a nasty bastard to you today. You deserve a drink. Or, oh, you're really down today and really emotional. You've got a lot on your plate. You deserve a drink. It's always there telling us that we deserve a drink. And it will take any opportunity, any excuse, any chink in your armour to make you want to have that drink. So go back and have a look at what made you fall off the wagon. Was it a person, place, thing, emotion? Was it the fact that you've had a really hard day? Was it the fact that your kids were playing up? Was it the fact that you had an argument with a partner? Are you feeling a sense of sadness or loss because you're no longer drinking with your partner? All of those will be things that push you towards going, oh, well, I deserve to have a drink. What could be the worst that can happen? It wasn't really that bad, was it? That's your inner critic going, see, you don't really want to do this. You don't want to feel this discomfort. You just want to have a drink. So dissect what pulled you off the wagon and put it into context. Put it into context of 10, 20 brilliant days, and then your inner critic beating you and making you succumb and have a drink. So analyse that situation. And realise that doesn't have to be about 100% perfection. This is about learning. This is about learning about you. And don't forget that once you're not drinking, you actually have to feel your emotions, and you have to feel them in all, technicolor, high definition. You are feeling everything. So you may as well analyse it rather than give in to the discomfort of that feeling and work out what it is that's pushing you closest to drink. Does that make sense to people? Does anybody want to ask any questions? I'm just going to have a little look. Yeah, totally get the self-harm thing. If anybody ever watches, I gave a link to I'm trying to remember the name of it now, of a BBC play, one woman play. I will try and remember what it is in a minute, on the newsletter a couple of weeks ago. And it's amazing. It was a play that's very personal to me because after giving up drinking, I became an Olivier judge for a year. So I went and saw 100 productions, and this production was one which is a one-woman play where drink features heavily, and drink and sex form part of her self-harm over. It's also incredibly funny, but in it I recognised so much about that self-harm in myself. And so every time I went to hit the fuck it button, it was because I wanted to hurt myself, you know. And what a ridiculous thing to do, to hurt ourselves through giving up 10 days or 2 months of really hard work and discomfort by then pressing the fuck it button because we want to hurt ourselves. Oh, we are just mental. Are we not just mental? Anyway, so do have a little think through and unpick some of that stuff. You can't analyse yourself too much, and in fact it really helps to analyse yourself a bit because you begin to get to grapple with the feelings that you have now that you're actually feeling them and having to deal with them. So I've taught you about perfection. You can't be perfect. It's impossible. I may joke about it often, but you can't be perfect. You need to really unpick what it is that triggered you to deal with, for your inner critic to win that battle with you on that particular night. Understand that some of it may be discomfort, and we've talked about discomfort before, and that it's us wanting to immediately satisfy a need that we're so used to satisfying with alcohol, and you're just going to have to ride that discomfort and do something else. Then the next thing you need to do, based on that knowledge, because data is knowledge. The data about what threw you off course is your data to go forward. You can have as many bits of data as you like on your broken Fitbit that tells you how far you've walked and all that sort of stuff. That's hard data. But actually, the data that you need is the data about your emotions and your feelings and the people and places and triggers. And you need that to focus on your next stage of sobriety, your next 10 days, your next 2 months, your next 3 months. This is really important data. And there ain't no device that can collect that. Although you can probably find places to record it, you still have to physically write it down. And that's a really useful tool too. So the next thing you need to do is to plan. Plan your discomfort, plan your triggers, plan your next week, 7 days, 10 days, whatever you're setting yourself as your next milestone. And use that data to populate it. So are there people you might want to avoid over the next 10 days? Are there places you don't want to go? Or if it was boredom or loneliness or anger or stress or any of those that triggered things that triggered that, then what are you going to do instead? You really do have to have a plan in place, because the minute you get that feeling of discomfort, that idea that you have to immediately satisfy that need, you need to be able to do something in its place. You need to either be able to stop and recognise that it's discomfort and it ain't going to kill you, or you need to stop, recognise it's discomfort and not going to kill you, and then do something to take your mind off it. And you may have to go outside your comfort zone and do things that you've never done before. And that's okay, because that's part of the journey too, finding new things. You may need to find new drinks and know that you've got a stash in the fridge. You may need to put something new into your routine, like a walk around the block. You may need to have a friend that you can phone when you feel like that, so they can go, yeah, I know how that felt. And, it really took a few goes, but over time I dealt with that by always ignoring it, always moving on, always doing something else. Is it online yoga? Is it reading other people's blogs? Is it coming on the group? But you need to know what it is so that you can react quite quickly, because the slower you react, the more that external voice is going to come into your head and say, no, it was all right when you were drinking. You were much, much happier. This feels terrible and uncomfortable. So you need to be able to sort of distract yourself away from that. So you need that plan. And I can't believe actually I'm talking about planning, Helen. I am the least planning person in the world. If you tell me I have to do a Gantt chart, I will run about 5 miles when it comes to work. But what I do know is that it really does work in this scenario, because alcohol is so everywhere. You need to plan to avoid it. You need to plan dealing with the emotional blackmail you might get if you go to the pub and everyone's going, oh, go on, just stay for one more. You need to be able to say confident in your head, no, I'm going home now because I'm bored. You also need to know a bit about yourself, and writing that down really helps. So the woman who was at our social this afternoon, she'd done 10 years sober and then she fell off the wagon and she kept putting off. She knew she had to go back on the wagon but she kept putting it off because and then she was drinking even more because she was going, I'm going to be giving up again soon, so I need to drink, I need to make the most of this opportunity, this window of opportunity, because her brain was going, yeah, just get it down you, and it may be taken away at any minute, so drink as much as you can, which of course is why when we all fall off the wagon, we all tend to drink more, or eat more, or do all of those things. I ate a massive packet of biscuits last week, don't tell you, see. But, in exactly the same way as you would if you're giving up drinking, we can't go, this diet's not working, I can't control myself. I'll start next week. And so because I'm starting next week, I'm going to hoof as much as I possibly can into my mouth. It makes absolutely no sense. It's ridiculous, but it's not unusual. It's what we all do. But recognising it means you can deal with it. So plan. Work out what you're going to do instead. What are you going to do differently this week than you did last week? And I would really make a big play for changing your routine, because so much of what we do is a routine. We like to be organised, another thing in our 100% perfection pursuit. We like to be organised. We like to know that we're never going to be tired. We like to know that we're doing the gym, we're getting the kids to school on time, we're cooking lovely home-cooked meals. We have all of this perfection piling up, which is why sometimes it will be the haven't done the healthy packed lunch that triggers you to drink rather than something around drink, because we're piling up our expectations of ourselves to be perfect. So what can you do to shake it up next week? Can you change your environment? Can you change for a week how you might do your meals? Can you decide that you're not going to clean next week and just spend a little bit more time on you? Give yourself some space to do some reading. Can you ask some people to help? Can you invite a friend to come and stay for a couple of nights? Can you invite your friend to come for the evenings so that you don't go out and drink and that you do something really interesting instead? How can you really shake it up to get through your next 7 days and deal with those triggers? Because you know what happens if you don't plan and you don't start this straight away. You will start drinking even more than you did before, just like the woman who was at our social today. But you're also, you're not giving up the idea of giving up drinking. What you're doing is you're passing the buck on to the future you to do instead. You're going, I'll drink today because I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it next week. The future me is going to do it. And I can tell you, the future me is really, really busy because I'm giving it the diet to do, the gym to do, the reading to do, all the things I want to do with Club Soda. I'm giving the future me all of that to do. But actually, the future me would be really much happier if I started to work on some of those things today, even if I did it bit by bit, because I'd be still in a better position than when I then have to sit down and finally do it. It's a bit like writing a dissertation if you do a degree or a long report or something like that. You know it's better if you start early and start to write bits, because then you will get to the conclusion without having to rush it. And of course, we're always putting off changing our drinking to the future us. And in the meantime, we actually make things worse. We don't even make any progress towards that better. So actually just starting a few steps of progress towards your goal will put you in far better stead, rather than thinking that you need to get as much drink down your throat as possible because soon it will be taken away. Does that make sense to everyone? But yeah, Tamsin, you're right. You think, oh, that's it, I've fallen off the wagon, so that's the go-ahead for me to absolutely cane it because it's going to have to stop at some point, and so I'm going to make the most of it before it has to stop. When actually you might be better off going, no, I'm going to make some steps and some changes to improve that. And that will still be better, even if in a week's time you have a drink again, you will still be in a better position than if you would just hit the fuck it button and drunk. You are making progress. You are progressing towards a goal. You will never be perfect. Steps. For those of you that have fallen off the wagon this week, you have already made great progress. You've done 7 days, 10 days, 2 months, 3 months. You've already made great progress. So carry on that progress. This is a blip, not a total falling off the edge. I want you just to get back on it. I cannot tell you how much I think you will benefit if you go, right, okay, stop now. Tomorrow I'm going to do something different that will shake all of this up. Share those plans with everyone in the group. Ask them their advice too. So what are you going to do differently? Do not put this off for the future you. The future you will be really pissed off, I can tell you. Top tip for warding off the temptation. Yeah, Mark. The only way you can ward off the temptation is to stop temptation, is to track. If you see temptation as that sort of inner critic that's always inside you, excuse me, trying to put you off, that it is like that, you know, that demon and angel shoulder thing. Well, you know, it has got some validity to it. There is an internal inner critic that's always asking you to fall off track. So see it as a person, say, right, how can I ignore you? What things can I put in place that will best ignore you? What am I going to put in the fridge that means that the minute you appear, I can go, ha ha ha, I can cheat you. I'm grabbing that bottle of Erdinger. I'm grabbing that chocolate. I'm making myself something lovely. What's the immediate thing you can do? What's the thing that you can do that's immediate? I'm going to take a quick jog around the block. Then what's the thing that you can do that will take 20 minutes? Because sometimes your discomfort will last about 20 minutes. And so you go, right, what's a 20-minute task? Do I need to reframe a picture, screw something back on the wall? Do I need to sort out the crap under the bed? Maybe I'll cook a proper meal tonight. Maybe I'll do my online shopping and get all the right ingredients for lovely meals so I can take 20 minutes to half an hour to cook a beautiful meal just at that point when I feel I want to have a drink. Do I need to watch an episode of Babylon 5? That may be very particular to me, but you might have something else that you might want to watch. Do I want to pay 20 minutes of online Scrabble with somebody? Do I want to, what else can you do in 20 minutes, people? But what is it that's going to get you over that 20-minute, half an hour feeling of complete discomfort? That discomfort, by the way, is not going to kill you, so I'm just going to remind you of that. But what can you do? So immediately grab an alternative drink, something to stick in your mouth. Then go on a task, do something. Save your washing to be ironed. Save something that takes 20 minutes and do that at the point when you really want to have a drink, and let that distract you. And then don't forget to reward yourself for success. So you need to have some rewards in, whether it be, again, a really nice drink, whether it be watching something you're really looking forward to. But once you've got through that evening, what can you do that's really nice for you that feels like a reward? Or are you going to save up what you saved from not drinking during the week and spending on something lovely at the weekend? Whatever it is, build in some rewards for yourself, because this is all about self-care. Drinking alcohol is all about self-harm, and you're replacing self-harm with self-care. Tams is going to take a lovely hot bath. I don't know, sometimes I like a hot bath, but I'm a bit lazy for that. That's terrible, isn't it, to say you're lazy for a hot bath? The whole point of a hot bath is to laze, but you know what I mean. It takes time to run a bath. So Mark, do you think that's helpful in terms of how you're going to ward it off? You've done really, really well so far. So take some of that learning, find out what worked for you and what didn't work for you. Ask the crowd in the community what they think might be things that could help you. If particularly you can be very specific with people about times and places or emotions and feelings that you think are triggering you now that you can look back over the last week. So where are we? We're at 7:32. I'm just going to check just to see if anyone else has asked any questions. But in the meantime, if you want to type a question, you can do that. But mostly you're doing what you do best in this group, which is sharing with each other your experiences. So I've got no further questions. I did miss out somebody from the congratulations earlier, and so I'm just going to go back because Janet told me that Alison is on day 7. This is Alison's first alcohol-free week, which means that this will be the first alcohol hangover-free Monday morning coming up, which I think is also a brilliant thing to remember. I started to think about what it was that when people talk to me about drinking now, what it is that happens that means that I don't want to drink anymore. Because often when people talk about drinking, it's great enthusiasm. Oh, we had this brilliant night out and we got completely wankered. Wasn't it fantastic? Or you know, la la la. But whenever anybody talks about those nights out, the reason why I don't feel I'm missing out anymore is because I'm channeling the hangover I used to have. And I can really feel it. And it took me a while to realise that's what I was doing, that actually they talked about a wonderful night out with loads of alcohol, but I was beginning to feel the hangover and the headaches and that feeling of feeling absolutely rotten. And I think rotten is the word I would like to use for how I used to feel, absolutely rotten. Like I was rotting from the inside out, as an ex of mine used to say. And that's how I used to feel. So whenever anyone talks about that, that's the reaction, that's the feeling I get. And yesterday I went and saw a friend who I've not seen since I was 21. And I saw her and her kids. And it was great because I didn't have a hangover. I was able to fling myself up on the train up to Bradford and come back the following day. Nowhere's too far when you're not drinking because there's only 3 hours on the train. But we went on a roundabout and we were lying down on it and the kids span it really fast. Oh my God, I felt... That's the nearest I felt to a hangover recently, how dizzy I felt and sick and nauseous on that roundabout. And I laid there thinking, I never want to feel this again. And I didn't think I was going to feel this again. So I now have to avoid both alcohol and going fast, lying down on a roundabout in a playground. Obviously, very niche things, but that's the nearest I can say that I felt to it. I'm just going to leave that there now, and don't worry, Mark, the Babylon 5 is not compulsory. It's the only thing me and you can agree to watch at the moment, so it's become this sort of thing, and we've got a box set of like 1 million Babylon 5s to watch. But find your box set, tell me what it is, tag me in your post when you've decided on some of the things that will distract you. And as I always say, I never say good luck in Club Soda because you don't need luck. All of the power to make all of this happen is within you already. You need to just put in the hard graft and know that you need to plan, but also know that you can do it and know that you can do it with the help of everyone here. So it's not good luck, but we've got your back here and you can do this. You've got everything that you need to make it happen. Okay. Speak to you soon. Bye.